Hello. So it's time for another weekly wrap-ups. What I read, what I received, what I'm getting rid of, what I'm keeping, everything, what I watched. I think I might even have a game in here somewhere. I don't know. So, as usual, we're gonna do what I read and watched first, and then we're gonna talk about what we're getting rid of. And I have a big old stack of stuff that I got in. The next couple weeks are probably going to be more of this big old stack stuff that I got in just because of my end of the year hedonistic situation that always happens. But then, fucking knock on wood, it should calm down. Please, Aurora, have self-control and once in your goddamn life, and stick with something. So, start with what I read. The first thing I read was a reread, and that is Lost by Jackie Morse Kessler. This is the third book in the Riders of the Apocalypse series, which follows, there are 4 books, follows these broken teenagers on their way to become the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. The first book is Hunger. It follows a girl with anorexia who becomes famine. Then we got Rage. We got a girl who cuts herself, who becomes war. And then this one is Lost, about a boy who gets bullied, who becomes pestilence. And this has a lot of feeling to it. It's the first male main character in the series. And I think Kessler did a really good job of kind of capturing like a hopeless kind of rage that Billy had. Also, it didn't hurt. I liked Billy because he listened whenever he was referencing music. He was referencing like Linkin Park and My Chemical Romance. And I was like, yeah, Billy, look at you go. So I like that. But no, I did really enjoy this. And this does have a lot of literary allusions to it. If you read the author's note in the back, Kessler does talk about how she did want it to be more literary. And she abandoned a lot of that, but she kept some of it. Like there's some Robin Hood stuff in here, which is kind of funny. I don't know. But no, I did really enjoy it. I did think that it has a lot of heart to it. And I think it has a lot of heart to it in a way that a lot of books, when they're thinking about characters who have been wronged and that feel like they're too weak to fight back, but then they kind of do, and they kind of find they kind of like it, and they're kind of grappling with that. Like this was kind of a school shooter book. I'm not gonna lie. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, right? I think I did. Like I said, a lot of that was nostalgia points. I read these books when I was a teenager. I really liked them, but this one does, for me personally, it does hold up on the reread. After that, I read Big Nate in a Class by Himself. So I got this in like a lot of books on eBay. And I don't know why I kept it instead of just putting it in my classroom immediately, but this is a children's middle grade novel, a la Diary of a Wimpy Kid, about this kid who's just in constant trouble. And I think the funniest thing about this book is if you go onto Goodreads, all of the reviews are adults being like, I don't know why they would show a child who hates school so much. He's a terrible influence. And it's really funny. Honestly, the reviews are funnier than the book. But no, I could see where this is very popular. I know that this is a comic series also. This actually kind of upgrades it a little bit, because I think the original books are for younger kids, and these kind of pulls them up into like that 4th, 5th grade range, which will be nice. So I will be putting this one in my classroom. Then I watched a movie. This was the last movie I watched in 2024. This is what marks the crossover from 2024 to 2025 in this whole stack here. And that is Fantasia 2000 on VHS. So I remember this was the best day in music in elementary school, was when they pulled out the TV and let's watch Fantasia 2000. The best one is, of course, the Rise of the Phoenix, or whatever it's called. What's it called? No, the Firebird, whatever. The one with the nature spirit lady. But no, this is very beautiful. It's wonderful. It's a good time. Don't know what else we need to say about Fantasia 2000. And then the first book I finished in 2025. Actually, I finished this one and the next one technically in 2024, but I had already like zeroed out my year. Like had finished my spreadsheets. I'd locked everything down, so I just carried them over. Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. Here's the thing, this would have been great if the 2 characters could have stopped boning long enough to like actually do anything. No, I did enjoy this. So this follows a a girl, and her mother has just died, and she gets all the necromancer powers, and she lives with her and her little sister, and she finds out that their home is about to be repossessed, and so her little sister decides that she's going to go and win this tournament, Phantasma, where at the end you get this magical wish, and then she's going to save their home. The older sister, who is the point of view that we're following, is like, absolutely the hell not, and she follows her sister into Phantasma, where she meets a hot guy. And they do as you do in romantasy books. I did enjoy it. I did like Blackwell. I did. Some of the stuff he said was just like, oh my gosh, like you're the closest I'll ever get to heaven kind of stuff, and I was like, that's very sweet. like oh my gosh. The atmosphere is pretty good. The trials were definitely just like, it was all just definitely just backdrop for the romance. That's what it was. It was very romance heavy, and by romance heavy, it was very sex heavy. Like, they could not keep their hands off of each other. But the trials, what we saw of them, were pretty interesting, and it was pretty brutal in a lot of ways. There were a lot of times people were just like, dead. All right, we're done. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Like I said, it was fine. All right, then I read another romance novel. This one is more straight up though, and that is The Nightmare Before Christmas by Sarah Rosh, and I've seen this one around everywhere in the last couple weeks. These cute little red edges, and this is a like fantasy where we've got the personifications of holidays, and they're like actual kingdoms, but it's also talking about like the commodification and capitalization of holidays and everything like that. And the Prince of Christmas falls in love with the Prince of Halloween, and it's adorable. There were some genuinely funny moments in here. I do think that it was a little heavy-handed in a lot of ways, because it was definitely trying to say something, and it did want you to know that it was trying to say something, and it was very, very adamant that you understood that it was trying to say something, which I could have done without. I mean, it was still cute enough that I am going to pick up the second book. I have it pre-ordered. It follows this bad boy's younger brother, who I did enjoy him. One thing I did really like, I loved the text message conversations. I thought they were hilarious, especially the group chat with Iris and Cole and Chris. I thought that was hilarious. I really loved it. But no, this was very enjoyable. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Like I said, I'm picking up the sequel, and if Rosh continues to expand the world, I'll probably continue to pick them up. But no, I could enjoy it. Then I watched another movie, my first movie of 2025, and this one I'm starting off strong because I'm trying to watch 4 movies a month. So I did my first one, and it's only the 5th, so we're doing great. It's Firestarter. It's the original Firestarter from 1984, I believe. Yes, with Drew Barrymore as the titular Firestarter, and it is amazing how much better this is than the new one with Zac Efron in it. Oh my! I'm not saying this was a great movie or anything. It got real dull in the middle there, but oh my god, it was so much better than the Zac Efron one. Like, I was so bored with the Zac Efron one. Anyway, this is an adaptation of the Stephen King novel, which I've only read once. So I genuinely, I don't really remember a lot of the book, because it's been a while. I've only read it once. But this was half decent. And it had a lot of heart. And there was some style to it. And it wasn't, like I said, it's not my favorite. It wasn't like great in any way. But oh my god, it was just, I think just the comparison in my head and in my heart to it, to the 2022 one or whatever that one came out, just like shot it up to the stratosphere. So yeah, if you're wanting to watch an adaptation of Firestarter, watch the old one, because it is so much better. Then I read a volume of manga, that's the second volume of Ghost by Miyako Hirozuka, and this is about a woman who gets wronged in her job, and she was sleeping with one of her superiors, and then she gets kicked out and nothing happens to him, and she's really mad, and she's really depressed, and she tries to kill herself. And then when she tries to kill herself, this ghost shows up, and she's like, I'm your guardian spirit, let's fuck up some people that ruin your life. And now at this point, our main character is so trigger happy with this ghost. Like, she is cursing everybody all the time. It's hilarious, and I am excited to continue on with the series. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. This is the art style. I'm loving it. All right. Then I got started in on my January TBR. The first one being Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson, which is a classic. This is the first time I've actually read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Unfortunately, this really did make me just want to watch The Page Master, which was like one of my favorite movies when I was a kid, and had a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde part to it. But this is a classic novel. We follow this lawyer who's good friends with this Dr. Jekyll. But some mysterious stuff is going on around Dr. Jekyll, and there's this like creepy little man who keeps showing up and nobody knows what's going on, and this creepy little man starts committing murders, and this creepy little man is like, there's something going on with him and the doctor. And as of right now, you know, in 2025, we know the twist. This was one of the great twist endings, though. Like, when it first came out, like, oh my gosh, Dr. Jekyll is Mr. Hyde. It's amazing. I'm sorry if you didn't know the twist and you're, I don't know, you're like 6 or something. But no, I mean, it was a decent classic. It's not going to be one of my favorites, I don't think. I give it 4 out of 5 stars, but I'm glad I finally read it. And then the last book that I read last week, I finished it yesterday. It took me 2 days, which is honestly a day longer than most of this man's books take me. They're always very long, but they're very, very fast paced. And that is No One Needs to Know by Kevin O'Brien. This is very Manson inspired. Basically this follows a couple of different things, but our main plot line follows this woman who her husband was killed overseas, and before her husband was killed, but when he was just overseas, she had a little bit of a dalliance with a guy who came to the diner that she worked at, and now her husband is dead, and this guy keeps trying to come and see the kid who he thinks is his son, but it was like proven that it's not his son. So then she's got a stalker situation, so she moves up to Seattle, where all of Kevin O'Brien's books take place. Seattle to Kevin O'Brien is what Banger is to Stephen King, or just Maine in general. And there's this movie shoot going on that is based on this murder that is very Manson-esque, and then there's copycat murders, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. It's very twisting and turning. There is so much going on. There are genuinely like 7 plot lines and 7 things to keep track of, and it is like, oh, okay, and you didn't think it would all wrap up by the end, but then it does. And some of the wrap-ups were like a little lame. I'm not gonna lie. Some of the way that some of the things that wrapped up were a little too convenient, but I feel like this man was like, holy shit, I've already written 550 pages and I have only wrapped up half of my plot lines. But no, it was fine. I think it's my least favorite of Kevin O'Brien's books I've read. He did just stray from the mold a bit in this one. Normally, the other 3 ones I've read, we've had a single mother, which we do have. But in this one, her son is a baby and not a effeminate 14-year-old. So, we're branching out. I gave 3 out of 5 stars. So, in terms of what we are keeping and what we are getting rid of, obviously we are keeping both of the movies. I only really ever go through movies once a year, because I don't watch enough of them to go through them more than that. I'm keeping Loss. I'm going to get rid of Big Nate. I'm going to put this in my classroom. I'm keeping Phantasma, The Night Before Christmas, and Go 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 Ghost. This one is one that I'm kind of on the fence about, but I think I'm going to keep it. No, I think I'm going to get rid of it, but I'm going to have to wait until I have a couple more romantasy or romance or something things to put it on eBay. And then I am also getting rid of both Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and No One Needs to Know. So that's taking care of what I received. So first up, I did pick up a movie. I picked up Wild, which is about Oscar Wilde, and I don't know how the fuck I did this, but I got a Korean edition. It is an all-region DVD, so it should still work, but don't know how that happened. And then a bunch of books came in. So first up, I've got Streetlight People by Charlene Thomas. And at first I thought this was like a middle grade, but then looking at it, it definitely isn't. The main character, I'm pretty sure, is like in college or something. But that's fine. I mean, that is fine. I'm not entirely sure what this is about. I think I saw somebody talking about it on BookTube or something. And I just added it to my list and then I just bought it. I got a bunch of manga this past week. That is what genuinely like about 2/3 of the stack is. And the first one I have is volume 3 of Blue Lock. I have not yet read volume 2. I intend to. It's in the book wall. So, but now I do have volume 3 for when that gets read. I also have Home Office Romance by Kitetsu Yamada. This is a one-shot volume from the author of Sweat and Soap, which I really enjoyed. I read the first 5 volumes, I kind of fell off. So I got rid of them because I haven't read this series in years. But it was very cute. I really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to read a one-shot from the same author. I've got a horror novel. This is Devil's Creek by Todd Kiesling, which is about, looks like a cult. Ooh, this is definitely a cult. That should be fun. Okay, this is like a cult situation, and I'm excited about it. Then I have The Monstrous Kind by Lydia Grigorovich, which is some kind of fantasy, dark fantasy situation. I love the cover of this. I think it's very fun. So that'll be a good time. Another couple of manga. I have Banana Fish Volume 5, which is a series I'm collecting. Have I started Banana Fish yet? No. But I'm continuing to collect. And then I also have Devils and Realists 2 by Yutako Yukihiro. I can't read that font. And Madoka Takadono. This is one of those ones where I read the 11th volume or something, and I was like, that's really fun, so I went back and I bought the first one, and I bought this one. I have not started it over again from the beginning, but I will at some point. Now I have books 1 and 2. I got Psycho House by Robert Bloch. I read Psycho last year, really enjoyed it, so I picked up another one in the series. I did cave. I finally caved, and I bought a physical copy of The Sunshine Court by Nora Sakavic. I was kind of like waiting for like a nice fancy edition because they do have the rainbow crate editions of the Foxhole Court, but I'm like, I just want one. And when they come out with a fancy edition, maybe I'll buy it, but like I just needed a physical copy of this one. All right, I did get volume 3 of Birds of Shangri-La, and this is thick. I read book 1. I have book 2 in the book wall, and I also have book 3. I was kind of really trying to bulk up my manga at the end of the year because I knew that I was intending to not buy really much of anything in 2025. So that's why I did what I did. Then I have volume 1 of Boys Run the Riot by Keito Gaku, which I have heard lots of interesting things about. Is about a trans boy, and that is really all I know about it. I do have a continuation of my collection of Battle Royale. I do have volume 15 coming as well, and I own the complete set in my hands, and I can forget about it. That's volume 14. So these are this fucking $40. I'm done purchasing them. I got them all. Well, 15 is coming, but I've got them all. I have Tomo-chan as a Girl, volume 4. Very cute series. Really love it. Volume 1 of Sugumi Project by Ipatu, which one of you guys recommended to me. I added the first volume of this one and the other series, I forget what it's called, to my Amazon wishlist, and I finally picked this one up. So if it is interesting, I will add it to my list of manga that I'm currently reading. If it's not, then I'll just get rid of it, I guess. And then I've got volume 6 of Wotakoi, so I do have the entire series now. 2 through 5 are in the book wall, and soon 6 is going to be 2, but it's very skinny compared to the other volumes, but I am done. And this is the one that I didn't ever read. So I read 1 through 5 before from like library, but I didn't own them, and they're very cute. I want to own them, so got it. All right, I've got The Shrinking Man by Richard Matheson, which is an old science fiction novel. I've found that my dislike for science fiction was very similar to my dislike for fantasy, and that I was just reading bad science fiction, so I'm trying to read a lot of the classics. I realized that when I read a Robert Heinlein novel and really, really loved it, and I'm like, fuck. So I've got this. And then finally, we're finally done, Fireborn by Rosaria Mundo, which is a YA fantasy, I want to say. It might not be YA, do not quote me on that, but this is giving me YA vibes. So that is that. That is what I read. That is what I received. Like I said, we're still going to be getting some stuff in the next couple of weeks. I'm pretty sure I made a book outlet order in that haze of end of December, which has not yet come in. So we'll have that. We'll have a couple other Amazon things trickling in, but overall, January's been doing well. But yeah, that is everything. I will talk to you later, and goodbye.